The distress beacon had been silent for 72 hours when Grace finally accepted the truth. No one was coming. She floated in the observation deck of the Meridian's Hope, watching the debris field that had once been the Galactic Council's diplomatic convoy drift past her viewport. The Zelthari pirates had been efficient, brutal. They'd torn through the fleet's shields like paper, extracted whatever valuable cargo remained, and left the survivors to suffocate in the cold embrace of space. Grace pressed her palm against the reinforced glass, her breath fogging the surface. Beside her, Ezra worked frantically at the auxiliary console, his fingers dancing across holographic displays that flickered and died with increasing frequency. "Power's down to 8%, he said, his voice tight with controlled panic. "Life support will fail in less than 6 hours." Grace nodded, unsurprised. They'd already diverted everything non-essential: heat, artificial gravity, even the water recyclers. The ship was a tomb waiting to seal itself. "The beacon?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Ezra's shoulders sagged. "Dead. Has been for the last day. Whatever the Zelthari hit us with, it fried our long-range communications completely. They were human, the only 2 Terrans aboard a ship that had carried 17 species to the peace negotiations on Callus Prime. The others had died quickly when the hull breached. Grace and Ezra had survived only because they'd been in the reinforced cargo bay, inventory checking supplies when the attack began. Now they were the last 2 living beings on a dying ship, forgotten in a sector of space that the Council considered secured. Grace laughed bitterly. Secured. Right. "We could try the escape pod again," Ezra suggested without conviction. They both knew it wouldn't work. The pod's navigation system was fried, and launching blind in a debris field was suicide. "At least, we'd die trying something," Grace said, turning from the viewport. "Better than waiting here like..." The console erupted with sound. Both of them froze. The proximity alarm, silent for days, suddenly screamed to life, accompanied by the rhythmic ping of an approaching vessel. Ezra's hands flew across the controls. That's impossible. There's nothing out here. The nearest Council patrol is 3 days away at minimum." Grace pushed herself across the zero-gravity chamber to hover beside him, her heart hammering. On the screen, a ship materialized. From the cosmic dark, angular, primitive by galactic standards, bristling with what looked like kinetic weapons rather than plasma arrays. "Is that?" Ezra whispered. "Terran," Grace breathed. "That's a Terran warship." The vessel was unlike anything in the Council's sleek armadas. It was industrial, brutal, a hammer forged in the fires of Sol's asteroid foundries. The designation TRNS Indomitable gleamed on its scarred hull. A communication channel crackled open, the universal translator taking a moment to parse the transmission. "Meridian's Hope. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Republic naval ship Indomitable. We picked up your distress beacon's echo on long-range scanners 76 hours ago. Been burning hard to reach you. What's your status?" Ezra's laugh was half-sob. "How? The beacon died days ago." Grace understood first. "Humans," she said simply. "We don't just listen for current distress signals. We triangulate echoes, track debris patterns, extrapolate trajectories. We look for ghosts." While other species moved on when a beacon fell silent, assuming the worst, humans kept searching. They mapped dead signals, chased shadows, and refused to leave their own behind. The Indomitable matched their drift with surprising grace for such a massive vessel. Through the viewport, Grace watched as a docking tube extended, magnetic clamp seeking purchase on the Meridian's Hope's damaged hull. "We're reading 2 life signs aboard," Captain Chen's voice continued. "Hang tight. Rescue team is coming through." When the airlock finally cycled open and the Terran Marines poured through in their powered armor, Grace felt something crack inside her chest, relief so profound it was physical pain. The team leader, a woman whose helmet displayed the name Rodriguez, immediately began scanning them. "You 2 are lucky. Another hour and you'd have been popsicles." "Lucky isn't the word I'd use," Ezra managed, accepting the emergency oxygen mask she offered. "No?" Rodriguez grinned. "You're human, stranded in space, and a Terran warship shows up. That's the definition of luck in my book. As they were guided through the docking tube into the Indomitable, Grace looked back at the Meridian's Hope one last time. The Council had abandoned them, written them off as acceptable losses in a vast, uncaring galaxy. But humanity hadn't. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Chen met them personally in the medbay. She was younger than Grace expected, with sharp eyes that had seen too much. "Welcome aboard," Chen said. "We'll have you back to Terran space within the week. The Council's going to have questions about what happened out here." "The Zelthari hit us hard," Ezra explained. "Overwhelming force. The Council ships couldn't—" "The Council left you," Chen interrupted, her voice cold. "Their patrol knew about the attack. They chose not to respond because the Meridian's Hope was outside their jurisdiction by 14 kilometers. Grace's blood went cold. "They knew?" "For 3 days." Chen's jaw tightened. "This is why Terra doesn't rely on Council protection. We protect our own. Always. No matter how far we have to travel, no matter how faint the signal." Later, as Grace stood in the observation deck of the Indomitable, she watched the stars streak past at faster-than-light speeds. Ezra joined her, his arm in a regenerative cast. "You know what the other species call us?" Grace asked quietly. "Crazy, reckless, inefficient, persistent," Grace corrected. "They call us persistent, like it's a character flaw." Ezra smiled. "Maybe it is, but it's why we're alive." Grace nodded, watching the darkness recede. In a galaxy where abandoned distress beacons meant certain death, humanity had built an entire fleet around a simple principle: never stop looking. The quiet had shattered, the Terrans had come, and Grace understood, perhaps for the first time, what it truly meant to be human among the stars.